Hey everybody, thank you for coming to watch. The guy got an update on a massive severe weather outbreak that is currently happening across portions of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. We've got a massive storm system that's moving across the eastern United States. We've got all the details coming right up, right? So thank you all for joining me here on this Tuesday night. We've got a lot to talk about in this video. Oh my gosh, did the forecast just blow up with this system? And so the SBC just issued an enhanced risk as of a few hours ago for the Midwest. We're going to be talking about all about the severe weather, and I'm going to just start out by looking at these storms with you guys. And all this energy you see in the eastern United States, this is all one big storm system. So massive storm that's currently moving its way across the eastern United States. This is all linked with just one center of low pressure that's right here, and they've got some pretty explosive storms inside that warm sector, which is pretty much right up into here. This is basically the warm air boundary, and we have a lot of moisture that's just pushing up into the warm sector here. So let's get going here. Take a look at your current radar. I'm gonna zoom in, get some names up here because these storms are looking pretty feisty. We actually already did have a confirmed tornado or maybe one or two that moved through north central Illinois. We got more tornado warnings that are still in place right now. All right, you can see got a pretty big storm system moving through the Aurora, Illinois, Evanston, Illinois, and the Chicago, Illinois area, Rockford. I know there was a tornado warning storm, but a lot of these have been tornadic, especially down here near Gary in Indiana. But guys, these will be rotating. These are rotating, as a matter of fact. This is a monster supercell. A lot of these back here, even like back into Missouri here and back all the way to the west of St. Louis. I know they look like tiny dots, but these are really they're getting ready to explode. And I do think once they get right across that border between Missouri and Illinois, they're just going to go nuts with this crazy environment for severe weather that we have. It's going to be lasting just a few short hours as we get into the overnight hours, but it's going to be real. And we still have a huge chance for severe weather, a similar chance all the way down here into Kentucky. It looks like nothing. It looks like just some rain showers, but trust me, getting into tonight, we're going to see more convection in the atmosphere, and this radar will look a lot different in just a few hours than what it's looking like right now, and I do think that we're going to see some big-time explosive thunderstorms happening in this area. You've got very heavy rainfall here on the East Coast. Look at this in southern New England. I'm experiencing some torrential rainfall right now. I'm in western Long Island. Did not see that coming earlier, but it is coming in tonight. That's the first round of storms. Then your second round comes in tomorrow, but very active weather day. And you've got more snow that's moving through the upper Midwest here. Actually, we'll be replacing these areas that are dealing with severe weather. So it's a crazy temperature swing, crazy just weather swing in general, but it's a crazy weather day. All right, so let's move on here. Let's get rocking and rolling. Let's look at your alerts. All right, as of right now, we're very active. We'll start it here in the west. We're in the pink shade. We've got winter storm warnings up. Once again, another major storm system is moving onshore, guys. It's very active right now. All right, but you got, winter storm warnings. Everybody in this pink shade going really all the way up from Washington down to northern California. You got blizzard warnings up for the Sierras. You got high wind warnings in the gold shade, high wind watches in the brown shade, and then in these purple shades you have winter weather advisories. And that's going to be pretty much it for the mountain northwest. Now, going down here into the south central United States, we'll start it here in eastern New Mexico. You've got in the gold shade high wind warnings that are still in effect also for the panhandle of Texas. Very, not a very populated area. Let's get rid of that. But yeah, not a very populated area, but still got to make sure that everybody that lives there knows what's going on. You also have red flag warnings still up for northern Texas and into northeastern New Mexico. All right, we did actually have a few wildfires that were actually burning, and there still is one, and you can actually see. Let me get rid of that. Oh gosh, I am all over the place. But we do actually have one major wildfire that's burning in northern Texas. Look at this one county in Texas, in this green shade. This is an evacuation immediate. which is pretty much the rarest warning. It's not even really a warning, but there are evacuation orders in northern Texas right now. That's how dangerous and real this wildfire threat is. And it's no longer a threat. I think it's happening. There's a lot of wildfires that are actually starting up due to these abnormally dry and hot conditions, but also it's very windy out in this region, so interesting to see that. Next, we got wind advisories. This is going out for over 50 million Americans, I would say. This is going out for areas all the way up from really Iowa down through the Great Plains and then into the deep south where we have entire states like Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky. You've got a big chunk of Oklahoma, big chunk of Missouri. You've got western and northern and western Louisiana, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, northern Georgia, central South Carolina. Anybody in this tan shade is under a wind advisory. This goes all the way up the East Coast, up towards the Northeast, southern New England. Includes really everybody in the Northeast except Long Island, New Jersey. So really everybody except the I-95 corridor is under this wind advisory. And then in this dark brown shade or dark gold shade, if you want to put it that way. You've got high wind watches for those areas that are expected to pick up or are expected to see some very strong wind gusts tonight into tomorrow. And I do think that there is a chance for up to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, which we'll talk about soon. You got flood watches going out for West Virginia into southern Ohio. All right, that segment of the video just took like 7 minutes long, but there are just a ton of alerts right now. Also, you got a tornado watch for northeastern Illinois. Don't worry, we're gonna talk about that for sure. You've got a few counties out here that's jumbled up with that massive supercell moving on, through that area. You got severe thunderstorm warnings in this orange shade, and then you got severe weather statements going out in this blue shade. And then up here in the northern Minnesota and northeastern North Dakota, you've got wind chill advisories because there is a big time cold front that's pushing this storm off to the east and out to sea. And because there's such intense cold air, because of the wind, it's making it feel very, very cold. All right, so I just want to get started with this severe weather, talk and update with this mesoscale discussion, which basically is it's updates on the storm system during storm updates that the SPC posts. Kind of just giving you an overview and kind of a synopsis on what area they're watching for any specific severe weather events that could take place, and also some alerts that could result. So what we have here is we have a big area in this red circle that you see. This is going out for southern Illinois through southern Indiana, and then you've got the very northwestern tip of Kentucky. Remember, that includes Louisville. All right, that includes Owensboro, Paducah, Mount Vernon, Bloomington, Indianapolis. All right, so there's some decently populated areas in here, but the description for this says severe threat will increase tonight, overnight, with Boeing segments and supercells. A new tornado watch is likely. All right, so there is a threat for damage wind gusts with that Boeing segment and supercells, meaning that you're going to get tornadoes. And if you get prefrontal supercells that could be discrete, that's an even higher tornado potential. So I do think that there will be a tornado watch. I mean, look at this. We got a 95% watch probability, so there will be a tornado watch in this area tonight. A few isolated strong, I would say really strong tornadoes are possible in this area. I would not be surprised if we saw tornado reports start to pour in. And again, it's that same exact area I was talking about on the radar where we're going to see explosive storms come in and just and maybe just less than an hour. But this is that area down here. And once again, we have a concerning severe potential with a 95% tornado watch probability. All right, this is one of those really just concerning mesoscale discussions that the SBC posts. But let's get right into the breakdown of why this is happening and when this is going to come to a close. All right. So this is the 18Z run of the NAM 3-kilometer model. This was a story 2 p.m. You had nothing. Look how explosive these storms get. We knew that they were going to start to fire off in the late evening hours, and this is 8 p.m. Eastern time, so this would be for Central time, about like dinner time, all right, and you are starting to see these strong storm cells that are really traveling right next to and around that low pressure center, moving through northern Illinois. These little bubbles of like red and oranges and yellows. I mean, those are strong thunderstorms that we see here. And some of these were rotating. Remember, this is in the past, but let's take this out a little bit further. And boom, this is in just about half an hour. This is pretty much on spot because you have on radar right now. You have these storms moving through northeastern Illinois that were very explosive. So this is that jumble of thunderstorms that's moving through. But look at this thunderstorm action in northern Ohio. Definitely some room for these storms to rotate. But this is where things get even more concerning. You think that you're going to get only one round of supercells that's currently moving out to the Great Lakes, and you're going to be done with the severe weather. But no, look how much more convection we got starting to get going here across portions of central Missouri down into southern Illinois. That's going to create that second round of storms that's just going to start to pop off and ignite as we get into the overnight hours. And you may be thinking, like, what? In February, the overnight hours, we're going to get storms to ignite rather than kind of dissipate? Well, yes, because it's so unseasonably warm. We'll look at temperatures right here, and then we'll look at dew points. Look at these temperatures. We're in the 60s. We're in the 70s down here into southern Illinois, and this area that we're seeing these storms start to ignite. And this is 10 p.m., so this is well into the overnight hours. So it's interesting, guys, but this is why it's happening, and it's just not good. All right, this is a big deal, and just a big reason why this is happening. But you've got some major storms that are moving through and starting to bubble up. But watch as they get right into that area, this environment that's very favorable and unstable in the atmosphere. That's just going to support that severe potential. And these are supercells that you see here. This is that bow segment that we saw. That the Storm Prediction Center was talking about. This is that bow segment. This is going to be producing damaging wind gusts and tornadoes. Is looking possible for really southern Indiana because you don't see any supercells that are really, discrete for southern Illinois and then into the boot heel or just north of the boot heel of Missouri. But you see these bubbles that are a little bit spaced apart. This is where you get room for rotating thunderstorms, and that's only showing up really for southern Indiana. But it will continue to Ohio, where in Ohio we already have that first round severe storms, which I think that this is going to be one that maybe that first round tornado potential could be moving through Ohio, and then there goes the second one. But this storm really starts to lose its strength as this cold front, this dry line continues to try its best to catch up with the storms and kind of just sweep them off their feet. But this tries to recycle, or I don't want to say recycle, but I think it wants to try and redevelop, honestly, and you see more convection start to pop up, and you still got supercells that are trying to somewhat form here in West Virginia, in Ohio. You got a line of storms along the line, a quasi-linear convective system that's developing here, going all the way up from eastern Ohio down through Kentucky and then into eastern Tennessee, and then that line of storms just charges through. It's going to be a loud afternoon. I think you're going to get some big time storms, some lightning strikes, maybe some severe storms, but definitely, those kind of those classic summer thunderstorms, but only that this is going to be happening in late February. So that's the only difference that we're going to see here with these storms. Other than that, it's going to be pretty much exactly like what you see in summer when you get a strong to severe thunderstorm, but that's going to be moving out with cold air replacing it. And watch as we actually see this turn over to snow. The NAM hasn't been as aggressive as it used to be on this, but we do get the heavy snow up into Wisconsin. But it's possible that there is going to be an hour or two of like a heavy snow burst into Chicago right after that severe threat, or the severe thunderstorms, I should say, kind of just move out. It's still possible, but it's looking a little bit more unlikely as that storm moves out. And then at the end of it, we may be dealing with a little bit of a flake effect snow event that will be minor, but we might have to watch it just a little bit. But let's look at your cape. This is your most unstable cape. We're looking at basically the thunderstorm juice that's up in the atmosphere that's currently its stomach hurts. If you want to put it that way, I think that's a good way of just saying it because it's very uneasy, the atmosphere right now. It's very unstable. A stable atmosphere, you don't get any severe weather. That's when that cold front moves in. But when you're inside that warm sector, but you get a lot of just, action in the atmosphere and changing heights, this is when you can get those storms to ignite. And so this is what you got. This is your thunderstorm juice. And remember yesterday we saw that we were getting up to only about or I wouldn't say only, but we're getting up to 3,000 joules per kilograms of CAPE as of yesterday. Now this has been just increasing and increasing. And look at this. We're over northern Illinois. We're almost up to 4,000 joules per kilograms of CAPE. That's enough to support long track severe thunderstorms. And I'm talking about severe thunderstorms, isolated tornadoes, and if a tornado or a rotating supercell can get a hold to this, which we've already seen today, we're gonna get damaging tornadoes, and this is just one of many reasons why we're seeing this becoming an outbreak, this event. All right. But wow, this is really strong. And even getting into tonight, notice how the CAPE levels go down slightly on the HRRR. I think I said NAM earlier, but this is the HRRR. But we still have, up to 3,000 joules per kilograms of CAPE going all the way through eastern Illinois, and then going into the Great Lakes region up towards Michigan and into Indiana. I do think, though, that CAPE is it's going to be higher. I just do think it's going to be higher down here into Kentucky, into southern Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. I don't like what the HRRR is showing with that. Let's look at the NAM here. All right, so the NAM's a little bit more of a less high resolution model, but you get it into northern Indiana a little bit more, actually. But this is farther north that you see here, but still getting up to about 3,000 joules per kilograms CAPE. You definitely have enough thunderstorm juice. You don't need to worry, or you don't want to think that there's still a chance for these thunderstorms to not have enough energy or just, juice left in the atmosphere to keep going. There will be a ton of that left, and it's going to be plenty for these storms to continue to fire across this region. It just may be a little bit less than what we see at the max here into central Illinois, and maybe a little bit less down here into southern Illinois, southern Indiana, Ohio, and then into northern Kentucky. All right. So here we go. This is the SPC outlook. I did say yesterday, I did talk about how there was a chance that this was going to get upgraded to an enhanced risk. Well, look at it right here. All right. So I didn't expect it, but here we go. All right, you've got a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather, which is an enhanced risk. This is going to be happening tonight. This is definitely an overnight threat. All right, so this is in this orange shade. We have 2 areas. We have one. We'll start up here into northeastern Illinois. This is going out for really a lot of counties out here, but this is also going out for Chicago. So notice that very populated areas in this risk area. And also into northwestern Indiana. Second risk area here with an enhanced risk. This is going out in this basically the same exact area as we saw with that Mesoscale discussion. This is where that tornado watch and maybe even a severe thunderstorm watch will be issued. But this is that area that we were watching. This is that area that I was talking about earlier. Pretty much same exact area. You got Cincinnati, Louisville, Paducah, and areas into southern Indiana, just south of Indianapolis, just south of St. Louis. But this is a decently large area that will also will be in this area will definitely be favorable for severe thunderstorm development. Now the surrounding areas of that, you've got that slight risk that's still up. This is still an area that will be dealing with severe thunderstorms in this case, and will be dealing with a big tornado potential. It's just not going to be. I wouldn't say it's not going to be nearly as high, but it's just not going to be as high as people that are going to be affected by, inside the enhanced risk. But this is going out for southern Michigan, southeastern Wisconsin, northeastern Illinois. You got really all of Indiana, all of Ohio, and then this kind of goes through the Ohio Valley, but off to the south and west a little bit down here through southern Illinois, Indiana, northern Kentucky, and then into southeastern Missouri is where we have the slight risk, and then the surrounding areas of that, you've got a marginal risk, a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather that's extending pretty far out. And then in this light green shade, if you're wondering what that is, this is just a regular, a non-severe thunderstorm risk area, meaning that you're most likely just going to be experiencing those non-severe thunderstorms. But notice that actually gets that gets out pretty far, and it gets to the east, and it gets out pretty far north. So interesting to see that, and it's all because of how unseasonably warm it is this time of year. It's not supposed to be this warm, and if we do get temperatures in the 70s, this is what may result. You could have severe thunderstorms with temperatures in the 70s, and the fact that we are seeing it, um, this is what you get. But let's move on to the Northeast. Let's see what's going to be happening with you guys. So here comes this first band of rainfall. This is what's moving through southern New England, and I don't think a lot of people were prepared. I wasn't prepared for this. I honestly thought that the rain was not supposed to start until tomorrow. But it's pouring like cats and dogs out there. It's raining like cats and dogs. In my neck of the woods, but. We got bands of heavy rainfall moving through New England. Then you got your thunderstorms that are starting to charge through western PA. This will be moving through central PA. I think an isolated, not severe, but an isolated strong thunderstorm is possible here into southern New England down to like southeastern New York. And you got these little bubbly storm cells that are moving their way through northern Pennsylvania. Isolated, bands of heavy rainfall, maybe some lightning, maybe even some lightning strikes. That moves through, and then this is still by like tomorrow morning. You still got some. It's gonna be hit or miss. You got a lot of storms that are impacting different areas, like going here, going there, going there, going here. So you kind of get the idea. But this is the main line of storms. This line sequence. Speak. This line of storms that'll be moving through the area with the cold front racing behind it. This is that potential quasi-linear convective system that's probably going to start to break apart right as it gets right here. All right, I'll draw the line, but I think once it crosses this line, I think it's just not going to be as a favorable environment for severe weather, because you can see that the moisture flow not nearly as impressive as it is as it was back in Ohio at this point. But you still got, this would be a line of storms that would produce damaging wind gusts. This will definitely be producing for, upstate New York down through central PA, like State College. This area will experience those strong severe thunderstorms with damaging wind gusts. But areas on the coast, you may actually be able to miss that threat. But still, you got these bubbly storms getting into 8 p.m. for your Thursday. Oh, wait, is that Wednesday? Yeah, that is tomorrow. Apologize about that. I always get the time mixed up. I don't know why, because it says Thursday up here, but it's 8 p.m., and then I realize it's 28th, and I'm like, oh, that's tomorrow. But you got bubbly storms that are moving through Delmarva up towards New England, the Northeast, and then you've got this big band of snowfall. It's replacing these areas really into upstate New York with heavy snowfall. But this will fail to accumulate because it's not going to be cold enough on the surfaces. It's going to be too wet, and also it's just not going to last long enough. But there is that lake effect snow, and you see that little snaky line. This is that lake effect snow. It gets heavy, but it doesn't really impact anybody on land. But I mean, maybe north of the Finger Lakes region, but nothing to really be worried about. Nothing that's going to be dropping 4 or 5 feet of snow. Oh my gosh, like last year we had that crazy lake effect snow event, and we had one this winter too, but this is not going to be like it. It's probably just, it might not even be considered a lake effect snow event, but maybe some isolated bands possible. All right, so for the Northeast, as far as precipitation goes, nothing too crazy, really in the 1 to 2 inch range in general here, but down here into southern New England by like Martha's Vineyard, southeastern Massachusetts, and the southeastern Connecticut, Rhode Island, 2 to 4 inches is possible with that high end amount. So definitely some isolated flash flooding in this area, definitely ponding on those roadways. Isolated power outages are also possible because we'll look at the winds a little bit later, but really in general, just 1 to 2 inches. And then if you get lucky, you'll stay a little bit drier to just about half an inch to an inch of rainfall. But really, again, nothing too crazy, nothing you guys haven't dealt with. But maybe even higher amounts up towards Maine. But really, it's nothing that's too crazy. All right. So let's take a look at your winds here. We got big time winds that are coming in. We have over like 35 million Americans that are currently under wind advisories. So here we go. So this is the NAM 5-kilometer model. This may be overdone a little bit. The NAM really likes to push with these winds, and these are your wind gusts. So these are not your sustained winds. But let's get this going here. And this is late Wednesday. You're getting into about 8 p.m. Wednesday. You got strong winds off Lake Erie here, but up towards upstate New York. You're seeing really already 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts. But look at this up here or over the Atlantic Ocean, just off the coast of southern New England. 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts possible with the band here, or I guess you wouldn't say band, but a section here of the Atlantic with 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts. But in New York City, it'll be very gusty. Some trash cans will blow around. It's just gonna be very windy in general. But you get you get the idea with them just 40, really in the 40 to 50 range in general. But the NAM doesn't want, or this is the European model. Oh gosh, I really messed that up, screwed that up. Apologize about that. That was the European model. This is the NAM here. All right, so the NAM, you can see totally more aggressive. Still, out here into upstate New York, 40 to 50 miles per hour. I like that idea, but the NAM always pushes these winds really far up on the coastline. So look at this already by like midday tomorrow. This is this is 11 a.m. tomorrow, 10 a.m. tomorrow, which I don't like this information. But the NAM is going for up to 60 mile per hour gusts on eastern Long Island. So yeah, I don't like that. I don't even want to show that. Let's go back to the European model. I apologize about that. I hate what the NAM just showed there. 70 mile per hour gusts, not going to happen. All right, but it's definitely 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts with maybe an isolated like 55 mile per hour gust possible before that all moves out. These winds may increase as we get into Thursday, like very early morning hours of Thursday, maybe a little bit over 50 miles per hour up towards Nova Scotia, maybe a little bit closer to 60, but nothing that's going to be too crazy, but definitely something that may cause some localized power outages. I wouldn't expect widespread, but definitely localized is possible. All right. So I'm actually not going to look at the next upcoming storm system because I really wanted this video to focus in on what's going on right now. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you all for coming to watch. See you guys in the next video. So don't be scared, be prepared. I know it's a very tough night. We haven't dealt with this large of a severe weather threat and a tornado threat in a long time. This is, I would say that this is going to be an outbreak. And we already do have at least one confirmed tornado that's not on the ground, as far as I know, but definitely it lifted already, but get what I mean. So big tornado potential tonight. Big time storms are going to fire across the Midwest. But once again, don't be scared, be prepared. Subscribe to the channel to get updates on all things weather. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. So enjoy your day. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and I'll see you guys later.